I am so happy that I can finally recommend the RGDS. It's been a long road. The thing was announced last year, and then it came out right at the end of 2025, and it wasn't great. In fact, I just put it right back in the box, hoping that someday someone would come along and be able to fix the thing. Really, it just needed help on the firmware and then the software, the OS side, and we got that. In fact, it got to a point now where we have a release for the system that I think has made it a very, very capable aftermarket new DS. I wouldn't buy it for anything else, but if you're looking for a DS-like device, this is it, and I'm going to show you the new OS and everything that's been set up for it. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Okay, so the RGDS, as I mentioned, I put it back in the box, so the unboxing is kind of moot at this point since there's nothing really in here other than the RGDS that I have been using, so we'll take it out of what is, I guess, an empty box. Oh, there's some instructions for it. There you go. Okay, so I ended up with the red and black, which you can see the fingerprints on there. Not one of the drawbacks of this glossy top, as you can see, it attracts a lot of fingerprints. But I did have a red and black DS back in the day, so a lot of nostalgia here for me. They have a couple different versions of this that you can get. It is coming in at the price point right now of under $100. So that's the other thing. This is a fairly affordable emulation device compared to, I'm thinking of the Einthor. Great device. Absolutely. But it's also like 3 to 4 times more expensive than this thing. All right. So keep that in mind as we go through this. But we do have a little microphone here you can kind of see on the back. Just 4 screws holding the back here. At the top, we have micro SD card slot, multiple USB-C ports here. They have one for charging. This one's OTG. So on the go USB, I guess you can plug in like a mouse, or I haven't really played around with that necessarily. And then we have our shoulder buttons here with actually very clicky shoulder buttons. L2, L1, L2, R1, R2. And we can open this guy up here. Dual screens. So inside of this device, we have the quad-core Cortex A55 up to 2 gigahertz. It has 3 gigabytes of RAM. Storage is 32 gigabytes, and the screens are 4-inch IPS displays, 640 by 480, so it will stretch the image somewhat. All right, this is part of the criticism. So one of the reasons I put it back in the box, the screens, the overall setup, the way it was running games was not great. The 2 screens were desynced like completely, and it was very ugly when you play Sonic, like the Sonic Rush game. You would have the top screen that just was not set up well with the bottom screen, and it looked terrible. It really did. Performance was also pretty bad. Like there's a lot of stuttering, and it just was not a good experience for even playing some of the more basic DS games, let alone turning on some of the enhancements that you would expect with a device like this. Now we can see on the front, we do have our D-pad. Nice soft, kind of soft click D-pad there. A, B, X, and Y. There's 2 thumbsticks here. I'll be real, I never use these. They're also clicking ones, but they are just not in a great position. No matter what, you're going to get that claw. Yeah, it's just not comfortable. Now, these do at least allow you, if you want to play other like systems through emulation, but when I get a system like this, I mean, I'm looking at it for its unique setup here with the form factor, and I'm mostly buying this as a DS device. 3DS games, like if you're thinking of 3DS, Einthor, save up for that. This, though, really covers, I think, the DS section very well. So we have our start and select buttons down here. We have our system button and back button with home. And then we have the 2 speakers facing directly here. So not a bad setup overall. And then we do have our headphone jack at the bottom. It mimics the DS very well, because all you really need when you're playing the DS is the D-pad and then our front facing buttons here, and then at least a shoulder button on either side. And it accomplishes that fine. All right, so let's go ahead and power this on. Now, the thing that really sets us apart now is indeed the OS, as I've mentioned. Now, this is coming to us from Gamma, and they have the GammaOS Nano. And they have a GitHub setup where they will release these over time. Right now, though, I believe this is just up on their Patreon. And then, again, just I think after like a month or so, they'll release it just on GitHub. So this, as you can see, when it first starts up, GammaOS, it jumps you into, I mean, it looks just like a DSi home screen. And I thought this was awesome. They also have the cross media bar from the PS3, and I think also like a minimalistic setup as well. I really like the DSi setup. I think it looks great. It fits it perfectly, so I just leave it like this, all right? And from here, now you can notice, it doesn't look like Android. So what this does is it basically takes over the system immediately on startup. And they had an update before that they put out for GammaOS. I think it was GammaOS Next, and it still looked like Android. So you would go with the dashboard with there were like Google services. Eventually they removed those to try to improve performance. And now we're to a point where it is just like, it's a whole micro OS built on top of Android, as they describe it. It grabs the panel the instant you power it on and paints a full console style home, right? Like as we see with the DSi. So what I have noticed from this is their performance is significantly better. If you go into like the settings, you can go to your game settings and you can grab all the box art, which I was working to do that. I think it missed a couple. I think one's like a demo or something. Here are the theme settings, and it's very minimalistic. And I actually like that because, as I mentioned, I'm buying this for DS games first and foremost. So if we just kind of run through, you can see all the different systems here. But I just dropped my DS games on here, got the cover art for them, and off I go. So it's very, very easy and quick to jump into games. It does have achievement support, so it's the retro achievement site. You can go on there, get signed up, and link all of this. Now, this is a touchscreen here, right, on the bottom, as you would need it to be for the DS. The issue, one of the drawbacks here for the RGDS is there's no great place to put a stylus. And I'm not really sure, they probably should have thought about that a bit, but people have been buying like secondhand stylus that you can use, and like the rubber touch top ones that you would use for an Android touchscreen tablet or I guess an iPad, and that's fine. It doesn't travel well. You know what I mean? Like, so it's typically larger than the system itself. I guess you could loop it off of the side, as they have the loop here that you would use for like a lanyard. That would be fine. But let me fire up a game here and we'll check this out. Actually, why don't we just go ahead and start up Sonic Rush, since that's the one that had a ton of examples that were given showing how poorly the screens were synced up. I did play a number of games to test it out. And yes, that means I played some of the Pokemon games like Soul Silver and stuff that are harder to run typically, or like Black and White 2, and they ran fine. And we have a couple different ways we can play this. I'm just going to jump in here though, as we do have different filters we can use. Okay, so there we go. This is something you would see that would just be completely off sync. Like you would have this kind of running ahead of this, and it would look like screen tearing, but you know, the bezel of the screen is in the way. And now it's so much better. Like the performance is significantly ahead of where it was. I'd even say, so I have a different kind of filter on here. And you could tell how that would be really annoying if you're like, your screens are desynced and Sonic's like trying to fall between, and it's just, it wasn't great. I do have different filters we can check out as well. So if we go back here, we have the menu you can jump to in between games. And so we have save states. You can do that. You can go to your video. I do have 3x prescale fast. So let me go over to, this is how it's had it set up initially with the LCD. So that tries to mimic kind of if you look at a DS Lite now, it has sort of a screen door effect. And that's what they try to do with this. So it tries to make it look a bit more similar to what you would expect a DS screen to look like, which is fine. Some people actually would prefer this. I don't mind the more cleaned up look that I just had a minute ago. Sorry, I was actually looking at the screen there. I tried playing this, and it immediately, when I saw that, made me just put it right back in the box, and it was a real shame. So this is so cool to see it actually like moving like this, because this is what I was kind of expecting it to look like. Yeah, I don't mind it when it's like cleaned up completely. It doesn't have the screen door effect necessarily, but this does look more true to what you would expect a DS game on the screen to look like. They do have pretty good suspend, so if you have to put it in sleep mode right away, you can just close it. It actually has a sensor here, so it knows when it's closed. It's not on anymore. We pop it open, and it's still running. And you can get right back in. So I do like that as well, because that's always been a big thing of the DS or the 3DS. The idea you could just shut it. Even the Switch, technically now, right? Where you can just put it in sleep mode, wake it right back up. I just like the being able to just close it. The clamshell design is still like the perfect on-the-go setup. Anyway, when you're all done, we can jump back. So you have video, audio, controls, cheats menu, and then there's the achievements there. So if I go back, just exit the game, and all it will do from here is kick me back to my DSi menu. Go back into games, and then just run over to Nintendo DS. And that's it. So I'm getting a kick out of this now with the new GammaOS setup. I think it's awesome. It's worked very well, and I mean, now for it coming in, the one that I saw when I was checking it just now, without the SD card, it was $93 on their website. Shipping and everything else, I'm gonna say it's probably like we'll say $110 or so dollars. I think that's a pretty good pickup now, where people are just looking for cheaper ways to play games. Obviously, you can find the games yourself. I think at this point it's an all digital era, right? So there you go. You can figure it out. But I do like what I'm seeing right now, and I just kind of wanted to pass that along in case you were out there, you had seen this previously, and you kind of went, oh yeah, it's not living up to the hype. I'm gonna move on from it. It's fixed now, so worth checking out. At least giving it another look and see what you think from there. Battery life, though, I've been playing off and on for good part of the day, and I think it's at like 65% or so. I think they quote 5 or 6 hours. That sounds about right. And of course, it's going to depend on what your screen brightness is, audio levels, all of that. But let me know what you guys think about the RGDS down below with the new GammaOS Nano that's now out. Again, they have it on their Patreon currently, and typically they'll have it on there, and then I think a month or so later, they'll just release it out publicly, so you'll have to kind of keep an eye out for that one, but I can vouch for it. This is what I wanted the RGDS to be this entire time, and it's finally delivered. Thanks to technically a third-party source for this, but thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.